We live in a generation starving for a light Christianity. No weight, no fire, no cost. A gospel so thin it could slip through a crack, so watered down it can't even sting the conscience. But mark my words, the cross was never meant to be lightweight. The cross demands everything: your pride, your comfort, your life. Today's gospel is a cheap imitation, trimmed, polished, optimized for comfort. Less doctrine, less sacrifice, less truth, less God. Just enough to make you feel good, but not enough to save you. This generation wants Jesus, but only a shadow of him. A Jesus who won't rock the boat. A Jesus who fits inside your self-made bubble. A gospel that asks for no death, no surrender, only warm fuzzies and empty promises. But hear me now, that is not the gospel of Christ. It is spiritual minimalism, a wolf in sheep's clothing. A faith without repentance is no faith at all. A gospel without the cross is no gospel. It is a religion of convenience, of comfort, of shallow delusion. Tozer warned us, the church that abandons the cost of discipleship will soon abandon Christ himself. No resurrection without the grave. No victory without the cross. No fire without the altar. This generation is crafting disciples with no discipline, worshipers with no reverence, and churches with no glory. They want blessings but not brokenness. They want heaven, but reject the narrow gate. God is not mocked. He will not reveal himself to half-hearted followers. The Spirit does not fill a heart still throned by self. It's all or nothing. So ask yourself, are you following the true Jesus, the crucified King? Or the cheap Jesus, the sidekick in your comfort zone? Wake up. The gospel that costs nothing saves nothing. Only the gospel that demands everything can bring you into God's presence. Tozer would shout from the grave, "You cannot carry the cross with one hand and the world in the other. The road to life runs through death." Subscribe, share. Don't settle for a faith too light to fight. Because the gospel isn't a product to market, it's a fire to consume. And only fire can burn away the distance between God and your soul. We live in a generation starving for a light Christianity, a faith without weight, without fire, without cost. A generation that trims the gospel down so thin, it slips through the cracks of true salvation, falling like dust on a cold altar. This is spiritual minimalism, a religion of convenience, a gospel optimized for comfort, diluted until it loses its power. And let me be clear, this is not new. But what is new is how deeply it has penetrated the heart of the church today. Tozer saw this coming. He cried out decades ago, warning that the church that softens the gospel to gain popularity will soon abandon Christ himself. And here we stand, a generation that wants Jesus, but only the shadow of him. A Jesus who does not demand change, does not call for death, does not shatter comfort. A Jesus who fits neatly inside the boxes of modern culture, leaving the cross behind like yesterday's news. But hear me, the cross was never meant to be light. The cross demands everything: your pride, your comfort, your will, your life. There is no gospel without the cross. There is no salvation without death to self, death to sin, death to the old man. We have lost the weight of glory. We have forgotten the urgency of holiness. We have replaced the fire of conviction with the cold air of tolerance. We call this freedom, but it is slavery to self, to ego, to the flesh, This gospel, too light to transform, is too light to save. Look around. Churches filled with people comfortable in their sins. Worship services more like concerts than encounters with God. Sermons crafted to entertain, to please, to avoid offense, but never to cut the heart or demand repentance. Prayer when convenient. Bible reading only the feel-good verses. Repentance reduced to a polite suggestion, quickly forgotten by Monday morning. Minimalism in faith means no real confrontation with sin, no real surrender to the King, no real death to self. It is a counterfeit, a pale shadow of the real thing. Tozer thundered against this. He said, "The church that abandons the doctrine of repentance to be more popular will soon abandon Christ himself." Do you want a Christianity that costs nothing? A gospel that asks nothing of you? A faith you can carry in your pocket without losing sleep or sacrifice? Then you are not following Jesus. You are following a ghost of religion, a hollow shell without power. Jesus said, "If anyone wants to come after me, let him deny himself, take up his cross, and follow me." There is no light version of that invitation, no easy adaptation for modern comfort. You either accept it all or you reject it. The gospel is not a product to be marketed to consumers. It is a fire that consumes, a sword that divides, a call to battle, not a lullaby for the tired soul. So what will you choose? The gospel that costs everything, or the gospel that costs nothing and saves no one? The road to life runs through death. There is no victory without the grave. There is no resurrection without the cross. Tozer's voice rings out across the decades, piercing the complacency of our time. You cannot carry the cross with one hand and the world with the other. If you are tired of shallow faith, if you are hungry for fire, like this video. Subscribe to this channel for truth that cuts. Comment below, what is the cross you need to take up today? Share this message with those who need to wake up from spiritual sleep. And now, pause. Pray in your heart. Lord, reveal to me where I have embraced lightness instead of weight, where I have settled for comfort instead of holiness, where I have replaced your fire with lukewarmness. Show me your cross. Teach me to carry it, because the gospel that demands nothing is not the gospel of Christ. It is a lie dressed in religious robes. This generation wants blessings but not brokenness. It wants heaven but rejects the narrow gate. It wants resurrection power but refuses the grave. It wants miracles but not obedience. Tozer would cry out with a thunderous voice, God does not reveal himself to casual seekers. He pours himself out on the hungry, the desperate, those who want him more than they want themselves. Do you want God? Or do you want a feeling of God? Do you want the real fire or just the scent of smoke? The Spirit does not dwell in temples of pride. He does not manifest in hearts clinging to control. He fills those who surrender fully no half measures. This channel is for those who hunger and thirst for righteousness. Subscribe now. Share this message boldly. Don't skip a second, because shallow faith won't hold you in battle. It won't lift you in temptation. It won't sustain you in pain. It won't prepare you for eternity. Spiritual minimalism is the malnutrition of the soul. It tastes good, but has no substance. It is quick, easy, and light, but it will never carry you to glory. The church today is a shadow of what it once was. Tozer wept over this. He said, The church that seeks the approval of men will lose the approval of God. Look around and ask yourself, is your church building a sanctuary of fire or a theater of entertainment? Is your worship an offering or a show? Is your faith a battle or a hobby? The minimalist gospel has seduced the masses. It promises peace without repentance, joy without holiness, life without death. But this gospel is a counterfeit, a lie disguised in Christian language. It's a soft pillow for a hard world, a gospel that fits the culture, not the cross. Tozer shouted in anguish, "A gospel without cost will never save a soul." And yet today, churches fill seats with people hungry for comfort, but starving for truth. Services are designed for convenience, not conviction. Preachers compete to please, not to proclaim. The altar is a stage, not a refuge. Do you want this? Or do you want the church Tozer dreamed of? A church on fire, a church broken, a church surrendered? Drop a like if you want revival fire. Comment your prayer for the church's awakening. Subscribe and ring the notification bell. Don't miss the call to radical faith. The Bible warns us, "My people are destroyed for lack of knowledge." And what knowledge does spiritual minimalism rob us of? The knowledge of sign, the knowledge of judgment, the knowledge of God's holiness. The result? A faith without power, a church without glory, a people without conviction. Tozer declared, "The world has yet to see what God will do with a church fully surrendered." But surrender is costly. It demands death to self. It demands breaking. It demands humiliation. Are you ready? Or are you clutching your comfort like a lifeline? Pray now. Lord, break my heart for what breaks yours. Shatter my idols. Give me hunger for your holiness. Share this message with a friend who needs to hear this hard truth. Tozer's words ring as a trumpet blast. The greatest tragedy of the church is a crowd of converts who were never crucified. They want the crown but refuse the cross. They want glory without grace. They want blessings without brokenness. This is the age of spiritual babies, those who drink milk but never eat solid food. Those who follow a gospel that comforts but does not challenge. Those who sing Amazing Grace but refuse to be changed by it. Tozer warned, "Religion without the cross is but a masquerade." We have churches filled with actors playing the part, but the stage is empty of the Spirit. They preach a gospel that tickles ears but sears no conscience. What will you do? Will you choose the easy path of the crowd? Or will you pick up your cross and follow Christ? If you're ready for the fight, like, comment, and subscribe. Join the movement of those who will not settle for less than God's fullness, because the battle is real. The enemy prowls, seeking to devour, and only the surrendered heart can stand firm. Tozer cried out, "No surrender, no victory." Is your heart surrendered, or are you still holding back? Pray with me now. Lord, I surrender all. Take my heart, take my life. Make me your vessel for glory. This channel is for the surrendered, the hungry, the thirsty. Subscribe and share. Don't miss what God is doing through radical faith. The cost of true faith is heavy. It is not measured in comforts or conveniences. It is counted in death, death to self, death to desires, death to everything that stands between you and God. Tozer said, "A cheap faith is no faith at all." And yet, how many today seek a faith cheap enough to keep their pleasures intact, a faith soft enough to avoid suffering, a faith gentle enough to ignore the cross. But Christ calls us to a different kind of faith, a faith that breaks, a faith that bleeds, a faith that dies. Whoever does not take up his cross and follow me is not worthy of me, Jesus said. This is the gospel the world rejects, because it demands everything: your will, your dreams, your reputation, your life. Are you willing to pay the price? Are you willing to be crucified with Christ? Like this video if you're ready to lay down your life. Comment below, what is the cross you must carry? Subscribe now, walk this narrow path with us. Tozer warned that the church that embraces comfort over cost will collapse in the hour of trial. He said, "The faith that pleases God is the faith that burns. It is a fire that consumes the dross, leaving only pure gold." Do you want pure gold or the cheap trinkets of this age? Pray with me. Lord, give me a faith that burns brighter than my fears. Give me a heart willing to suffer for your name. The world will mock you. Friends will desert you. The road will be lonely and steep. But remember, suffering produces endurance. Endurance, character. And character, hope. This is the faith that conquers the world. Not the faith that coddles the flesh. Not the faith that shrinks from the cross. Tozer's voice echoes. Many claim faith, but few pay its price. Are you among the few? Are you among the surrendered? Share this message with a friend who needs courage. Subscribe and stay grounded in truth, because the victory is not for the faint-hearted. It is for the blood-washed cross-bearers. Take a moment now to pray. Lord, help me to die daily. Help me to surrender all. Help me to follow you no matter the cost. Texto, this channel is for warriors of faith. Subscribe and stand firm. Share boldly. Padrel, the cross is heavy. It bleeds. It kills. But it is also the bridge to glory, the altar where life is born anew. Tozer said, "Where there is no cross, there is no crown. Without the cross, there is no real encounter with God, no true power, no lasting transformation." This generation has tried to remove the thorns, to soften the pain, to replace the cross with comfort, the altar with applause. But God is not mocked. He does not dwell where his holiness is compromised. He does not reveal himself where there is no surrender. Tozer cried out, "The church has become a theater, and the Spirit has left the building. Do you want the Spirit? Then take up your cross. Embrace the fire. Walk the narrow path. The gospel that saves demands everything. It calls for radical surrender, deep prayer, fasting, death to self. There is no glory without brokenness, no resurrection without crucifixion, no fire without sacrifice. If you want revival, it starts in the altar of your heart. If you want power, it begins with surrender, like if you hunger for God's presence. Comment your commitment to the cross below. Subscribe and join the movement of true disciples. Tozer prophesied a church on fire, a church broken and whole. Are you ready to be part of it? Pray with me now. Lord, I lay down my life. Take my pride, take my plans. Fill me with your Spirit and set me ablaze. Share this message with those seeking true transformation. Don't settle for a gospel too light to save. Remember, the gospel that does not demand all of you will never give you all of God. This channel is for the hungry, the thirsty, the surrendered. Subscribe, share, follow, because the fire is real and it's waiting for you. Hear me clearly. There is no gospel without the cross, no salvation without surrender, no life without death. Tozer thundered across generations. You cannot carry the cross with one hand and the world with the other. This generation is tempted by a gospel too light, too easy, too comfortable. A gospel that costs nothing and saves no one. But that is not the gospel of Jesus Christ. The true gospel demands everything. Your pride, your plans, your comfort, your very life. It calls for radical death to self and radical birth in the Spirit. Are you willing to pay the price? Are you ready to be crucified with Christ and resurrected with Him? This is the faith that moves mountains, the faith that conquers sin, the faith that walks through fire and comes out purified. Do not settle for less. Do not be fooled by a gospel that fits your schedule or your desires. The King demands your all, and He is worth it all. Like if you are ready to surrender fully. Comment below, what will you give up to follow Jesus? Subscribe and share this message with the hungry and thirsty. Tozer's voice still cries out. The church that abandons the cost of discipleship will soon abandon Christ Himself. Let your life be a living altar, a place of sacrifice, fire, and glory. Remember, the gospel that demands nothing will save nothing. This channel is for those who hunger for the real, the raw, the radical. Subscribe, share, follow, and walk the narrow path with courage and fire. God bless you deeply.